Hi everyone. Today we'll be sharing some information about building occupancy and operation during the COVID-19 outbreak. Sharing information to help our community during a crisis is part of CEE's mission as a nonprofit with an energy efficiency focus. We'll be covering some current guidance for occupied buildings as well as things you'll want to keep in mind for or under-occupied buildings. Across the board, we want to stress that the information we're sharing today is general and may or may not be appropriate for your building. Every building and situation is unique, and all considerations require vetting by a qualified engineer. You can also call our team for a free conversation about your building's specific needs and opportunities during this unique time. But first, a word about CEE's engineering team, led by Mark Hancock. Mark's team has more than 30 years' experience in the optimization and energy reduction of heating, cooling, and ventilation systems. Our professionally licensed engineers have direct experience in many buildings with a wide variety of HVAC system types. We bring independent, third-party insights with research-based solutions, addressing a broad range of issues. Engineering is a crucial element of CEE's mission-driven work as an energy efficiency nonprofit. Now, onto some guidance for occupied buildings. In buildings that haven't changed operations much since the pandemic started, we recommend that building operators consider following a set of recommendations released recently by the American Society of Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning Engineers, commonly known as ASHRAE. These basic actions can be taken to an occupied building's heating and cooling systems, mostly to limit the potential to spread the highly contagious COVID-19 virus. The basic recommendations include regularly disinfecting frequently touched surfaces, like elevator buttons or door handles. ASHRAE also suggests installing more hand sanitizers for easy use and closing down common areas like coffee stations to discourage gatherings. You may also post warnings on water fountains and consider temporarily offering bottled water in place of shared fountains. For occupied buildings, ASHRAE's HVAC system recommendations will most likely increase your building's energy use to stop COVID-19 spread. Because adding more outside air may cut down on spreading the virus, ASHRAE suggests increasing your outdoor air ventilation for better dilution rates in the occupied space. Just make sure your systems can process the amount of outside air you're bringing in without making building occupants too hot or too cold, depending on the weather outside. To do this, you'll need to disable demand-controlled ventilation if you have it. Under normal circumstances, this type of ventilation automatically optimizes your volume of outside air to just the amount needed for adequate ventilation, but conditions during this outbreak aren't normal. Another way to increase the fresh air in the building is to open and increase your outdoor dampers minimum as high as possible. Again, make sure your systems can handle such large quantities of minimum outside air. ASHRAE also recommends improving your filtration to MERV 13 and seal around the filter edges to make sure air isn't bypassing the filters. And although it may feel counterintuitive, don't be tempted to go to a higher filter rating, because the higher rated filters will just restrict the air more and limit your air handler's ability to deliver the right air flows. Also, keep all your systems running longer if possible, to provide additional continuous flushing of the building. And finally, some building types may want to consider using ultraviolet germicidal irradiation systems for high-density areas that can't be avoided, like waiting rooms. Now, how about some things to consider in unoccupied buildings? In unoccupied or underoccupied buildings, we need to consider the potential for energy savings within the details of your building's current situation. First off, how is your building currently being used? Is it a lightly occupied office building or a completely empty maintenance garage or maybe an ice arena or rec center? Do you know whether all the occupants are out of the building 100% of the time for the long term? Can we use access control to monitor people coming and going? And how much can access control tell us about the building's ongoing use? Also, can you monitor HVAC systems remotely with an internet-based building automation system to actively make changes based on the information from access control? After we've considered your building's unique operating context, it's time now to think about opportunities, with some high-level suggestions to possibly save energy in the under-occupied buildings. First off, you should work with your IT staff to turn off equipment like printers or computers that aren't needed. Eliminate phantom loads by switching off power strips that may have nothing but charging cords plugged in and are still using a small amount of energy even when not in use. Turn off monitors in standby mode, because even standby mode still uses energy. And of course, turn off lights in empty areas to save energy and limit building traffic flow. You should also consider the settings of your central system to use less energy. Consider modifying the space set points to be more aligned with the unoccupied settings. If no one's there, unoccupied mode should be your scheduled mode. Edit reset loops deeper for savings. You can modify loops such as discharge air temperature reset or hot water reset to save on both fan and boiler energy use. Also, cap off the upper limits on your fan systems. Your fan system was designed for a fully occupied building, and with occupancy being much lower, full flow isn't needed. If you reduce the fan speed by 1 unit, the energy consumption will go down by 3 units. This small reduction can result in significant energy savings. If you have it, take advantage of energy recovery systems. You can increase the outside air volume and capture energy that would normally be sent outside by your exhaust systems. Consider the system's design so you don't ask the energy recovery system to supply more air than it was designed for. And finally, it's worth noting that because it's springtime, outside air conditions in the Midwest are ideal for economizing right now. Economize as much as possible if you require cooling in your under-occupied building. Again, although these issues are all worth considering, not all solutions will work in all buildings. We recommend that you consult with your engineering resource or make a free call to CES team to make sure that anything you consider will not have unintended consequences. And there are a few more good questions to ask if you're hoping to save energy right now. Are you heating areas of the building that aren't occupied? If no one's there, don't heat those areas. Are you providing more ventilation than needed? If just one person is required to be in the building, do you need to ventilate for full occupancy? This one's very important. Have you synced your equipment schedules to your modified building hours? If the building is only open for half the time it was originally open, make sure you set the schedule to reflect that change. And again, I cannot stress this enough. Energy can't be saved at the expense of a healthy environment for your building occupants. Take care of your people first and foremost. We hope this was a helpful overview for addressing your building's operations during this COVID-19 outbreak. If these ideas have generated any questions, please give Mark and his team a call at 612-335-5861 or email the address listed on this slide. Thank you again for taking the time to listen, and take care.